Andrew Eborn has joined us for Fake or Fact, and that it couldn't be more moot at the moment.
I tell you what, the big story at the moment is all about poor old Kate. And I'll tell you what, Kate's conspiracy in this, she's just come out of hospital, just over the road from me at Regent's Park is where she was. Lovely on that sort of basis. And what I thought, we should have a look at, first of all, the story. Let's unpack it properly, because I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories. As I always say, the ideal thing about Fake or Fact is we get rid of these conspiracy theories. Let's look at the reality. So what happened, as you know, this time last week for Mother's Day, Kate, 42, celebrated on March the 10th. She shared a family photo, and we've got the picture here.
Lovely.
And it's surrounded by her three children, Prince George, who's 10, Princess Charlotte, who's 8, and Prince Louis, who is 5. It was apparently, the credit is for Prince William, her husband, who's 41. And she basically said, look, thank you for all your kind support and everything else. This is me, we're having a wonderful family things. Yeah. What happened a few hours later is that the press agencies took it down. They gave what's called a kill notice. And the kill notice was from Associated Press, Getty Images, Reuters and AFP. Yeah. And what they were saying is that it had been manipulated. Now, the sad thing about this is the reality is the press have suddenly got a burst a blood vessel, if you like, and social media say, well, hang about, it's fake news and everything else. The reality is, if you look at the manipulation, I've done a few of them here, you can tell, look, it's not quite alignment, the hair and so on and so forth, the dress is not quite right.
No, look, most of us have done that.
Exactly.
Especially when you're trying to get children all to smile at the same time.
It's virtually impossible.
You can see that somebody played around with Photoshop or whatever, and they didn't do it that well, frankly. Yeah. And it is wrong that the Palace Press Office should have put out a photograph that was so easily seen to be...
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I would go even further than that. I think this was somebody who's... She said she's an amateur photographer. She put out an apology later. She explained that she uses Photoshop, and normally what they do, photographers, they do it in layers. The reason photographers go... They take so many pictures, they say, well, hang about, Anne's hair looks lovely in this photo, and her smile is better in this one, and so they put them together. They make a composite. And that's what she was trying to do, make it look a great picture. There was no ill intent. From what I can see, there was no ill intent at all on that sort of basis. All that happened is she's trying to get the best possible shot, and that's what happened. So when you look at it, there are all sorts of details. You can see that the fingers are not quite right and so on and so forth. Yeah. But it's not the first time in history. And the reason I wanted to raise this is that Cecil Beaton, the famous royal photographer, he would famously Photoshop pictures of the royals. Really? Even in his biography, they talk about how he used to, in those days, you used to have a bit of white paint. You'd have to make somebody look a bit better. And the idea was exactly that, to make it look interesting. Now, what I've done is actually I've gone through history, because this is a whole pattern of this sort of stuff. And if you have a look, for example, this is the Christmas card which they issued last year. If you have a look, we can pull that up over here.
Yes,
this is the Wales. Do you remember this Christmas card?
Yes, a lovely card.
It isn't it a lovely card? Now, actually, if you look very carefully, there's a couple of things which are not quite right in it. So you look at, there are too many legs, for example, at the bottom of the chair. The wonderful little prince, the one that everybody loves to talk about, good old Louis, because he's so brilliant. His fingers are not quite right. He's missing a finger and so on and so forth. So again, that's sort of been photoshopped. We've also got, if you go back through history, at the wedding of Edward and Sophie, we've got that sort of side. We can pull that up here. Let's have a look. Have we got Edward and Sophie picture? And what you've got is that they've got all the royal family, and they're all there in the picture. I think there's somebody in the gallery. I'm working them hard in the gallery, aren't they? They're going to pull it up. They're trying to find it. There we are. So the next one was the picture of Edward and Sophie's wedding, which is in 1999.
Have we got Edward and Sophie's wedding?
Do we have that one? I think it's in our stack of stuff.
Lost inside the computer.
Lost inside. Well, that's OK. But you'll see that what happened in that one, everyone was smiling, apart from William in that instance, bizarrely. So they photoshopped him. The photographer confessed, if you like, to Photoshop. There it is. They confessed to basically photoshopping a smiling William into the picture. And that's what you've got there. So for the first time, I was just putting it into perspective. We've also got that wonderful picture which was released for the Queen's, what would have been her 97th birthday. And you might remember she was surrounded by all her grandchildren and so on and so forth. Again, what they say is that's probably Photoshop, because you can't get everybody smiling at the right sort of time, but you're getting the best thing. And there are some of these camera phones now which will do that automatically for you. You see the adverts for them.
Yeah, there's an app in it.
Exactly. And that is AI and so on and so forth.
No, Ellie's interested now.
No, so you love what I'll tell you about that. So you'll always look glorious. You can get people out of pictures, you can put them in, you can make sure you're all smiling and so on and so forth. And one which obviously wasn't Photoshop was this glorious image from the time of the Jubilee. If you have a look, this is the Queen with Paddington. Now, that was not Photoshopped at all. That was a real thing.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that.
It was really that sort of side. So that's glorious.
But it's interesting. I mean, it is very difficult when you've got children or just multiple people to try and get them all at their best. best in one shot is very difficult. Lord Lichfield did it, though, didn't he?
Yes.
When he took the picture of the Princess of Wales, Princess Diana's wedding, he did it because he had a whistle and he just blew it really, really loud so that everybody sort of went like that, and he got some really...
And that's the secret. But that's the great secret. But I think, just to put it all in perspective, I think people have been unfair on Kate. I think this is basically... The question is probably really what the palace should have done is turn around and say, look, this photo was taken then. She turned around and said, look, absolutely, we Photoshop. Of course, we want people to look their best. The real question is about, the trees in the background, which may be a bit too green. And you have to work out, was it really taken on Mother's Day and so on and so forth? But let them come out and control the narrative. But leave Kate alone. She deserves better.
She shouldn't have been made to...
Exactly.
Apology. I really don't.
What I love, and normally what would happen, St Patrick's Day is tomorrow.
Yes.
She would normally, as they have done from 1901, women from the royal family have gone out and given out shamrocks.
Yes.
And she would normally have done that, and every year since ever she became a royal, she has done that. We've got a picture of her on a previous one, so this is her last year. This is Kate giving out the shamrock. I think, again, if the gallery's got it, doesn't matter, but there's some glorious pictures of her. There she is. So she's looking wonderful in that.
Yeah.
So in honour of that, I thought we'll have a quick fake or fact. Now, what this is, Ellie, Anne's an expert of this. I make a few comments and you have to guess whether the statement is fake or fact.
Okay.
So let's start with this. Patrick was not Irish. St Patrick was not Irish. How does that sound?
Fact.
Fact.
Turkish.
Oh, interesting. Look at you.
I think he is Turkish.
He was Turkish.
You think he was Turkish? Well, it is an interesting one. He was, in fact, born in Roman Britain. It's right, he's not Irish. He was born in Roman Britain in 387 AD. So there you go. But why do you think he was Turkish?
Turkey from?
Well, I think it's
Maybe he went to
That's
Turkey
one of the
once.
other patron saints.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, you'll do your there'll be one. So St Patrick was not called Patrick.
Patrick was not called Patrick.
Yeah, go on,
Also
Anne,
true.
fake or fact?
Fact.
Fact, Anne?
I don't like that.
Patrick not called Patrick?
Right, yeah, fake.
Fake. Well, it is. In fact, he wasn't called Patrick. He was called Maewyn Succat, is what his name was. And he was basically, when he was made into a saint by what's his name? The Pope at that time was Celestine the First. What's his name? The Pope Celestine the First. He then made him St Patrick, and he became that sort of stuff.
Right.
Use a shamrock. This is interesting. People have shamrocks. They associate certain imagery with St Patrick's Day. Was the shamrock, and he used it. This is what they say. Taught in Catholic schools. Patrick used the shamrock as a symbol of the Christian Trinity. That sort of stuff. Is that fake or fact?
Fact.
Fact.
Well, that's what I was always taught, yes, fact.
Well, I can tell you that you're both absolutely wrong. It was not a fact. The shamrock, interesting, there was none of the early stories featured the shamrock. Or, it's basically the 3 leaves, is the normal one, 4 leaves is supposed to be lucky. What happened is actually the first thing in print was in 1684, an English visitor to Ireland. He talked about the shamrock, and he talked about the vulgar superstition of wearing shamrock, and he said people would eat it to cause sweet breath. And the other thing that they noticed in 1684, he said, very few of the zealous are found sober at night. That's what he said. Well, it is probably true also, that sort of stuff. It's also been a sacred plant. It's also been a sacred plant for a long time. So the shamrock is not actually from St Patrick, which is interesting. This is a good one for you. St Patrick's true colour then was not green, but blue. And in fact, this is the blue that it was. St Patrick's true colour. My colour of my tie. Is that fake or fact?
That's fact.
Fact?
Oh, fake.
Fake. OK, well, Ellie, brilliant. You're absolutely wrong. Because the true colour of St Patrick was, in fact, blue. And this is the blue. If you talk about Google your St Patrick's blue, and this is it. So, always interesting thing. The other thing which I love about St Patrick, there's so many myths and bits and pieces. There he is with his shamrock. Oh, these are AI generated, which you can probably tell. This is a little thing which you can do as well. Try it at home. Microsoft, what I like, shamrock, see what they did there. There he is in blue. What you can do is it's Microsoft, and they can do your own AI generation of that sort of stuff, which I just sort of messed around with that sort of thing.
I see.
Final thing then.
Very quickly.
Patrick Day did not drive the snakes out of Ireland. St Patrick did not drive the snakes out of Ireland. Ellie says he did. It's fake.
Well, legend says
or
he
fact,
did.
she said. Legend said he did.
There are no snakes in Ireland.
There are no snakes in Ireland. I can tell you it's absolutely false. There were no snakes at all until the Ice Age. It's gone.
Brilliant.